So last week I made a video on whether or not you should pay to apply to your next job. That way, that application fee limits the number of applications that are generic for that particular position. But this morning, while I was getting ready for work, I came up with another criteria. Can I afford to work this job? If you're a $15 to $20 an hour worker, there are certain things you have to ask yourself before you apply to a certain job, right? I've had to ask myself this question my whole life, and the answer has always been no. I cannot afford to work a sub $20 an hour job unless I'm planning on working three of them so that I can afford to eat every day. But with that said, I'm going to run down my talking points because this is going to be a 10-minute video, not the usual 20 plus, because I've got to get ready for work and I still have to render this video. So the first thing you have to look at is whether the pay is enough to cover your expenses. And I'll tell you, with the cost of living, childcare, and no secondary income, no one can afford to go to work. It is expensive to get dressed and go to work. It is expensive to put gas in your car. It is expensive to make a car payment. And the rising cost of rent make a $20 and below job unlivable unless you're living with your parents or you're living with 10 of your closest prison friends in a tiny little house where you have no privacy. So, secondly, you have to ask yourself the schedule. Does the job allow you to balance work and other responsibilities? For the most part, every retail job that I've ever had does not do this. There is no balance. You come home after a long, hard day of 8+ hours, and you have two thoughts in your head. Number one, I have to make more money. Number two, I'm tired as hell and I want to go to sleep or I want to relax. Both aren't available to the proletariat. So that puts you again in that situation. Can I afford to work this job? And the answer is always no, regardless of what you tell yourself. So then you go down to the next point of any crappy job. Does this job have the benefits I need? Does it have health care? Most crap jobs will make it a point to not offer you health benefits. In fact, I know a guy at my current job that is one of the hardest working people I know. And the way to get him out of health benefits was to offer him three separate positions at 20 hours apiece. They were each their own individual job. And at the end, they'd said, well, we're going to pay you hourly. This is a way for us to get out of paying you benefits. This is a way of getting out of paying you overtime. And this is a way of getting out of having to make you full time. So that didn't benefit him in any possible way, and he couldn't understand why they would do this other than corporations are evil. There is no retirement and savings for the proletariat. There isn't enough money at the end of the month from working a low tier job for any amount of savings. Remember, you live hand to mouth, and that's the way they want it. So when they put these things into the benefits package, you just kind of look at them like, do you think I'm stupid? Do you not realize that there is no retirement at this minimum wage job? And those people who look at this job as a great opportunity. In fact, I was talking to these people yesterday afternoon, and they were telling me, don't recommend people that suck at working, to work here. And I'm like, you must be used to seeing people that come in here, get onboarded one day, do a day and a half of training, and then realize that they're not going to stay. Why? Because they didn't ask themselves that question. You always have to ask yourself, can I afford to work this job? If you have children, 99% of the jobs out there that are low tier, you can't afford to work them because healthcare is expensive, especially if you have a family. There's very rarely any paid time off in lower tier jobs, and the lack of job stability. That's another big one that I'm seeing at work every day. Is there a chance that I will be laid off? Yes. Is there a high probability that I won't have a job the next day? Yes. How do you assess this? You just look around and see all the other people that have lost their jobs already as the company is switching its model of the way that it runs daily business. So, is this position stable? No. You've mentioned frustration with high turnover, burnout, and replacement environments. That's what ChatGPT. Replacement environments is every job in America. You're not going to get out of being replaced if you become an inconvenience. The great thing about having nothing but entry level jobs with ridiculous standards is that when you have entry level jobs, there's always someone entry level that needs that job. In fact, my current job is that job. I kept seeing it being posted, I would say every other week for 6 months. They couldn't find anyone who was desperate enough to take a job that paid the minimum wage and that requires you to bend over backwards for them and take on additional responsibilities every day, far and beyond your pay grade. But as Mello said to me the other day, they'll always find a useful idiot. In fact, she sent me a job posting that required a college degree, so many years of experience, and paid $10 an hour. And when these evil corporations post these jobs, or my other favorite one, the unpaid internship. It feels like America has become one giant unpaid internship because the wages aren't designed to keep you alive. They're more like designed to keep you coming back. Because remember, the proletariat works out of necessity. We are not going to get rich from these jobs. We are never going to be comfortable with these jobs. And all this job does is extend the life of the proletariat by one more day. These aren't jobs that are going to have amazing growth potential. Are raises, promotions, or additional benefits down the line? Absolutely not. I've had to explain that to Gen Zero at work that this job has virtually nothing. It's an entry level position, it's one step above an unpaid internship, and there's nothing there. There's no growth potential. And I've asked him just to look around at the other people that have been here. Everyone above me has been here for 4 to 5 years, and they're all completely burnt out. In fact, nearly everyone I work with has said, and of course, this is an empty threat, that if I don't get a significant pay raise this year, I'm going to move on, which is the right decision to make in a more healthy job economy. The reason we're all still here is because the job economy out there, despite all of the media telling us how booming the economy is, go look on Indeed. Find me a job that's worth doing for the pay. And I'll tell you, I've been looking for months. There's nothing but hot garbage on Indeed right now. When every job pays less than what I'm currently making, or the skills gap between the low tier and the high tier gaps are ridiculous, then you're stuck. And finding personal fulfillment at a bottom tier job is not going to happen. Can you afford the emotional toll of the job? Most of us can't. It is too much of a beating. I come home every day with more and more of my soul crushed from Evil Corp just because I can't handle it anymore. Yesterday, I reached a level of stress where I was starting to buckle because I'm not good with dealing with people in person. In fact, I'm a person that shies away from going out in public. In fact, my only outings outside of my home are the grocery store, the gym, and then my work. Everything else is a 5 minute job. If I'm going to go to physical therapy, I'm going to go to the chiropractor, or I'm going to go, those are pretty much it. I don't really go anywhere else. So I don't really interact well with people. So at the end of the day, it's going to be based on your financial situation and demands of the job that can help clarify whether or not working a job is affordable for you in the long run. And I would say that in the long run, most of the proletariat is screwed because what I just mentioned is what is out there. There's nothing good out there. And as a person that has basic needs, remember what I've always said, housing and food are basic human needs. But right now, the jobs that are out there do not provide sufficient resources for basic human needs. and no one cares. No one else besides me is saying this because it's an unpopular opinion with less than, 2 weeks to go before the election. And I don't like what this election is shaping to look like, folks. Anyhow, 10-minute video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will talk to you in a few hours.